Hello.
What's up, Team Veterans? How's everybody doing? Thanks for spending some time with myself, Coach Mitch, Coach Rochelle, and Coach Marbella today. We're excited to be here. Hey, today's topic, we're going to go over primary versus secondary conditions, veterans. Many veterans are already aware of filing claims for a direct service connected condition. We'll go over the general idea of some of the common claims veterans deal with. But what we're really noticed is that there are a lot of veterans suffering in silence through a lot of these secondary conditions. So to clarify, we have direct service connected conditions, and when a veteran's military service directly causes a medical condition. This type of claim relies heavily on documentation of the injury or illness in the service member's military records and conditions that might qualify presumptively. So, just to touch on a couple of things. One, like planus, right? Most veterans know it as flat feet, right? So with flat feet, those wearing those combat boots, being out there doing those 15K ruck marches, right? Just our normal day-to-day environment as service members, hate to break it to you, but it's not so great on our feet, right? That can be a direct service connection. PTSD, that traumatic event, right? Post-traumatic stress disorder. That traumatic event you might have been exposed to while in service can be a direct service connection. I used to love to say in the Army, we say, hey, we like to, blow things up, let things go bang, right? Hey, tinnitus, that exposure, right, to loud noises. Most veterans out there from all branches of service are really exposed to, might be dealing with as a direct service connection. Just some examples for you today. Another claim that can be submitted is a secondary disability claim, which are often overlooked or unknown by most of our veterans in our community. They're not well versed in the VA disability rules with it. So we're going to go in depth on that. Coach Marbella Reed, can you go over exactly what a secondary condition might look like for veterans?
Absolutely, Mitch. I would love to. A secondary condition is a condition that was caused or made worse by an already service connected condition or disability you already have. The existence of secondary claims make it possible to receive benefits for some conditions that veterans otherwise would not be able to link to their service. Many secondary conditions may develop sometime even after service. For example, Coach Mitch just mentioned being directly service connected to illness, commonly known as flat feet, a condition that can cause or be aggravated by your military service. It can bring about a substantial change in the way you walk, maybe a limp, causing an abnormal strain on the musculoskeletal system. This can lead to the development of a number of possible secondary conditions that can be linked to your flat feet. Some of the more common ones are, for example, low back pain. So if your gait changes, you develop gradually, if your gait changes, develop gradually because of your chronic condition of your feet, as a result, often spinal disc can deteriorate more quickly, leading to pain, but as well as your knees and ankles. Even if your hips conditions could all be secondary to your feet as well. Other common secondary conditions are, again, your knees. If they're affecting your gait or the way you walk, over time, that can cause you to have back pain. That would be the nexus or link between your new condition of back uh, to your secondary connection that's already service connected of your knees. One more, if you're already service connected back, it begins to get worse over time. It can cause you to have issues with your legs and feet. That tingly, pins and needles, numbing or burning sensation could be some sort of neuropathy, a sciatica, or the most common one we see, radiculopathy, which can be linked to your back. So to tie it all together, Coach Mitch and I spoke about service connected conditions on a secondary basis, and that requires a showing of causation. Showing of causation requires the secondary disability claim to be caused by or aggravated by another service condition you already have. We at VACI know the importance of supportive medical evidence. We believe that medical evidence wins claims, you guys. In gathering your supportive medical evidence for your claims, the nexus opinion is very important by the way of competent medical opinion. So if you're an elite member or a mastery member, you have access to the nexus team to help you support your claim. If you're not part of VACI, get signed up today. A lot of these conditions also, they're already service connected, require prescription medications, which in turn could have side effects to other secondary conditions.
I mean, all of those conditions that you spoke about, just like it's like a snowball effect, right? If
Absolutely.
you've got a back condition or a foot condition, that then causes these other conditions. And one of the most common ones are a lot of these are prescribed medications as treatment for their service connected conditions, right? How often we go to the doctors and their solution is medication, right? So those medications can have side effects associated with taking them and develop into those said called secondary conditions. A good example is pain medication. So for the strategies Coach Mitch and Coach Marbella just described, many veterans are prescribed NSAIDs, right, such as ibuprofen to deal with the pain in your feet or your knees or your back. So the common side effects of long-term use of NSAIDs include conditions like GERD and IBS, right? So if you've got stomach pains or you've got acid reflux, now kind of confusing, like at first glance, you might be wondering how the heck does gastroesophageal reflux disease and irritable bowel syndrome have anything to do with knee pain, right? How does that medically connect? Keyword medically, right? So following the secondary claim logic, a veteran can then file GERD as secondary to NSAIDs prescribed for the treatment of their already service-connected knee condition. Just take a look at the back of your medication bottles at some of those warnings and precautions while taking the medication, right? Now, aside from GERD and IBS, another strategy regarding the secondary cause of medications could be like sexual dysfunctions, right? Erectile dysfunction for men and female sexual dysfunction for women. For our veterans service connected for mental health conditions, you may have been prescribed antidepressants or anti-anxiety drugs, and these are common conditions you could be eligible for. So definitely take a look.
So let's talk about a few things. Direct service connections for mental health, right? The most common mental health disorders for veterans are PTSD, generalized anxiety, depression, and traumatic brain injuries. Oh, okay. So I really want to break this down so the person in the back of the room hears this, okay? There's 3 things that are extremely important to be eligible that you have to have for your claim. Number 1, you have to have a medical diagnosis. This could be in your military records, right? Your treatment records, your VA treatment records, or in your own private medical records. You have to have something somewhere in your records for a diagnosis. If you don't have one, take your butt to the doctor. Okay? I know our culture in the military, suck it up. I'm telling you, you got to have that diagnosis. Get yourself some help. Go to the doctor if you don't have it. Number 2, you have to have that nexus. What does this mean? What's this nexus? It really is there a logical link in our in-service incidents or our service or a series, of incidents? That is it. So is there a logical link in our in-service incident or series of incidents? Number 3, severity of symptoms. This is huge, veterans. How is this affecting your life? Which is really your work, right? Your personal life and your social life, your social functions.
Okay, so any service-connected condition or disability, even if it's service-connected at 0%, can cause lifestyle impact or negative emotions in your life. It's all about the severity of your symptoms. For example, Tinnitus and hearing loss are low value claims, but they can cause substantial lifestyle impact. That is a mental health claim. If your tinnitus is so bad that it's affecting the way you sleep, that can in turn affect your mood, your memory, and your ability to focus the next day, causing you to have occupational and social impairments. Maybe you're also causing you to have unnecessary arguments with your spouse because he or she thinks you're not listening, but you just didn't hear them over the buzzing and ringing in your ears, right? Or maybe you're yelling at the kids because they're playing and it's loud and it's setting off your tinnitus. All of these things can now, be affecting you by making you feel maybe guilty or angry, misunderstood, depressed. That is mental health, which is lifestyle impact caused by your service connected tinnitus. Other examples of lifestyle impact can be even orthopedic claims. They cause chronic pain. We all know that. It affects all aspects of your life and in turn can cause negative emotions. So at VA Claims Insider, that, again, we believe that that is part of lifestyle impact.
So let's say you're only service connected for tinnitus, right? That's one of the biggest things. Like Coach Mitch was saying, veterans, you've just been trained and conditioned to just suck it up and keep moving, right? So there's barely ever any things that's in your service record. So maybe it's just the presumptive ones that you're able to get service connected because of the lack thereof medical records, right? And as we know, medical evidence wins claims. I did see in the chat a minute ago, someone asked, okay, what about migraines? I didn't get diagnosed or start having those issues of migraines until I got out, right? I got out in 2017. So what do I do now? Is it a cause? It depends on your symptoms, right? So that's why it's important to really understand and, of course, get the treatment. So let's say you're only service connected for tinnitus at the 10%, the ringing in the ear syndrome. While tinnitus is only 10%, making it a low value VA claim, there are a number of high value VA disability claims rated at 30% or above that can be medically linked to tinnitus. So migraine headaches, for example, there is a strong correlation between veterans with tinnitus and the coexistence of migraine headaches. If your tinnitus is ringing and buzzing throughout the day, just like Coach Marbella was describing, I mean, it's definitely impacting your life, but it could potentially also be triggering these migraine headaches to the point that they're incapacitating. So migraines are no joke, right? And it could be linked to a cause or aggravation of your tinnitus if those are your symptoms, right? And I'll go over another way migraine headaches or things can be triggered, right? So migraines are no joke. They're actually a high value claim as long as it's noted how frequent and severe your symptoms are. So get your butt to the doctor, get some help. Other than that, another really strong one is anxiety or depression, secondary to this really low value tinnitus, right? So plenty of medical research studies point to the prevalence of anxiety and depression, mental disorders in veterans with tinnitus. So aside from migraines secondary to tinnitus, Coach Mitch mentioned earlier about PTSD, and I saw a couple questions also in the chat about all the other direct service-connected mental conditions and what those could be causing, right? So if you're directly service connected for a mental health condition like generalized anxiety disorder or PTSD, combat or non-combat, right? They all have 31 symptoms of mental health, which could in turn cause these other conditions. One of them, of course, triggering migraines. Like if your anxiety is so bad that it's causing you a migraine or a headache, then there's a causation and aggravation there. Again, all in your symptoms. You'll want to journal these episodes, note what exactly is triggering your migraine episodes, talk with your coach about what you're dealing with to see if there's a potential link.
Really, you got to take a step back for a second, right? We're talking about that direct service connection and that secondary, right? So when you're filing a claim, you'll file on va.gov, okay? But it's important to really take that second and go, okay, is this direct service connected or is this the secondary? If you're filing for that direct service connected condition, you're claiming that your disability was caused by an injury or exposure during your time in the military, your military service time. if you're filing for that secondary condition, you're claiming that disability was caused by another service-connected disability you already have or are connected for.
So in closing, the biggest thing for any claim is strategy. Know what's in your medical record. And if you haven't been to the doctor, like we've been saying all over, get your butt to the doctor. You need to stop suffering in silence. You need to stop minimizing the severity of your symptoms. Get the help you need. Remember, it is okay to not be okay. We are here to help you. So get with your coach, get signed up if you're not already. You served, you deserve.
Thank you, coaches. Appreciate you both. And thanks for your service.
Have a great day, everyone.
Everybody.